Good day everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be going over the British tanks today. And obviously I have my trusty squad mate and companion, Dark Angel. You can introduce yourself now, mate. And he's lagging out.
Dark Angel.
So today we're going to be going over British tanks. Now the British tanks are to be feared in Italian tanks. Especially the M1139. We're going to be use the A13 Mark II today. But obviously other British tanks will apply for individual vehicles. We'll be going over 5 vehicles that we can encounter in this tank, but we'll start off with the A13 and work our way up. Now the A13 Mark II is an up-armoured variant of the A13 Mark I. Not by a whole lot, but it's still good enough to protect against your 37mm in most regards. The 2-pounder on the A13 can easily knock out your tank. Isn't that right, Dark Angel?
I would demonstrate, but you'd get angry.
Yes, because you'd screw up the recording now, wouldn't you? So when it comes to an A13, the frontal armour is 30mm thick on the driver's area. Around about here and this section over here are all 30mm. The tow hooks count for an additional 14mm of armour, which means if you hit the tow hooks or the driver's port, you will not penetrate. But otherwise, at close range, you should be good enough. But the mainstay of the A13 is obviously it's a cruiser tank. And it has very poor side armor. So if you have the side of an A13, obviously I would recommend you wait for an A13 to pass, put one in the side, and since it's a 4 crew vehicle and 3 of them are in the turret, 1 shot should be sufficient. Okay, now Dark Angel, could you bring out the... What tank is it next? It's the...
Crusader.
Crusader, yes. I almost forgot. So Dark Angel is going to bring out the Crusader Mark II, probably the most dangerous tank you can encounter. Other than the 4th tank, which we will be going over. So Dark Angel's heading over in his Crusader Mark II. Now, the Crusader Mark II is essentially an A13. But it's quite a bit it's a little bit quicker, has a little bit better armor in places, and it can be very hard to deal with. Now obviously I recommend you sit like a tank destroyer in this tank. Obviously your 8mm machine guns are going to do absolutely nothing. But the main places to shoot on a Crusader, if you're at medium to short range, is right here. Right where the driver sits. This should shrapnel and kill the crew members inside. But if not, if you're close range and the Crusader's got its turret facing you, shoot right here, right where the gunner sits. This means you'll take out the turret crew and then you can work over the rest of the tank. But obviously the Crusader has a higher mobility, or a higher section of mobility than you. But most of the time, if you've got the side of a Crusader, you shouldn't have any problems. The main thing to watch out for, though, is this driver's port. As you will eventually see in the Buster Returns video, Dark Angel actually bounces off this. That's a little spoiler for a future video. Dark Angel actually bounces off this part of the Crusader. Don't you now?
Spoiler alert.
But yes, the best way to take out a Crusader, if it's not looking at you, and you've got its side, just shoot the turret and then shoot the crew compartment for driver. But if the turret is facing you and you are within about 300 meters, shoot it right here. And then other side, like so. And finally, a shot right there. That should be sufficient to deal with the tank in most situations, but against a skilled Crusader driver, you will struggle. Okay, now Dark Angel, could you bring out the Daimler armoured car, please?
Of course.
One of the finest British armoured cars invented during World War II. And hopefully, Dark Angel, you will spawn in before you run out of tickets, because that would just be embarrassing now, wouldn't it?
Well, now I have to do it on purpose, don't I?
No.
Yes.
Well, if you do, then you are no longer my helper. So, the Daimler armoured car is... well, it's an armoured car. Your gun shouldn't struggle against it. However, there are parts of the Daimler armoured car where your shell will struggle sometimes. That being the turret mantlet and the driver's hatch. Driver's hatch seems to only be 16mm, but as I found out earlier on when I was looking up vehicles to potentially use for this video, I found that the 14mm plate right here is actually overlapping the driver's port. But the Daimler armoured car is a simple and easy vehicle to kill. Shoot the turret for the majority of times and you should be okay. But obviously, if you're within close range, go for the driver's port, like so. Do be aware though, the Daimler armoured car has very good mobility on most terrain, but on snow and desert you should be able to outmaneuver it. And now Dark Angel, could you bring out the Queen of 2.3 please, against this
Insert
tank.
sinister laugh here.
And this is the Valentine Mark 1. Probably the most dangerous British tank you'll face other than the Crusader. Now the Valentine, even I struggled to find out weak spots for this vehicle that you could potentially engage from. I advise against engaging Valentines, simply due to their armour. Their armour is double the thickness of your vehicle, or your vehicle's penetration. Obviously we have 38mm of penetration, but I think we could potentially knock out the Valentine by doing cheeky shots.
Just give me a second, I'll be right there.
Yeah, the infantry tanks of the British weren't exactly the fastest. But there is a 10mm slot behind where the engine sits. You could potentially kill the tank from there. However, one spot I want to test is actually the driver's port. It appears to be overlapped.
You damaged my optics, how dare you?
Never mind. The driver's port is penetratable. It is only 17mm. Another shot I'd recommend is the turret ring. And finally, Dark Angel, could you please bring out the T-17?
Perhaps I might lose all my tickets beforehand.
Don't you dare. The Valentine is slower than your tank, but you can potentially engage it in most situations comfortably. However, it's not much slower than you, so you won't be outmaneuvering it like you're a Stuart compared to it. And finally, we have the most common British AA that you will find, other than the Mark 6 AA, which you don't have to fear at all. You can kill that easily with the 8mm Braiders, funny enough. T-17 armoured car has got 250 caliber machine guns, and some pretty good armour for an armoured car, if I had to say so myself. Its 50 cals can penetrate your side armour, so do take that into account. But if you've got the front of the vehicle like this, one shot is all it's going to take. Hit directly in the front here and you'll take out the 2 crew members. If you're at the side of the vehicle here, shoot the wheel around about... Well, Dark Angel just despawned, but the wheel was around about here. That's where I recommend you shoot. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for watching today's video. And the final vehicles that we'll be doing are the Italians. Because obviously...
And French, sadly.
We are going to be having the French. Don't worry, Dark Angel will do the French before. This video will be done after the French video comes out.
Oh god.
That's how this is going to work, Dark Angel. We're having the French will go before the Brits, and then the Brits will come before the Italians, which will be on a separate day. Anyway,
And I have a second opinion.
No, you cannot. Anyway,
I will shoot you.
I'd like to thank you all for watching. I hope this cleared up some of the British tanks. Obviously, we can't cover everything. And final nation will be the Italians. Hope you enjoyed watching today's video, and I'll catch you all on the next one.